Okay, well, if you looked at the two videos, you should have a basic understanding of how arrays work and each of their properties, the uses of constant relative offsets and object offsets, the mirror tool with object offset. Now I just wanted to show you something really cool. We've built this small scene. I can build another one to recap very fast if you're more intermediate to advanced user. But I just want to say that once you've had all of the stuff, we were talking about modifier stacking. Just going back, we have our modifier stacks here. Remember, we talked about the curve tool. So what happens if we just add this to the Bezier circle that we've added on? And as you can see here, absolutely complex right off the bat. Look at that. We can have really cool tools this way. And we can see just the fun complexities of this. Now you can see it ends on a funny note here. That's where you can like add in your extra bits and pieces if needed. So let's say that we have this tool already done. Well, we can always duplicate this. So like everything's following this curve tool here. And you don't really like this shape at all. Well, we can just Shift D to duplicate this, move this to the side so we don't lose any of our information. M, and we do a new collection. I just like to call this hide. It'll be used as our backup essentially that we can use. So go back here, click on this, and let's find our little small section of our piece here. So we have this. Let's just delete that, we don't need that. Now, if we add a cube, one thing to do is always reset your cursor here. So let's just do Shift as, snap cursor world origin, and now let's add a cube. You can start seeing, we can just use this as our like starting base to create more complex shapes and see what other cool structures that await us. And I feel like this is where the real fun happens here. Is like you kind of get unexpected results, and it's something that I like to think about too. It's like, what kind of odd things can I find that will like help me push my creativity? Mainly because it's sometimes hard as an artist to break the prejudices you have, because the older you get, you'll kind of get stuck in your ways more and more, and I always want to try and push that around just to see what new venues of creativity I can find. And that just speaks to, you know, people's personalities. If you want to stick with the ways you have and it's real comfortable and brings you joy, absolutely, you keep doing what you need to do. But for me, I like to think about new ways of generating ideas, which is why I'm drawn to more of these like generative methods, because it's interesting. I enjoy reacting to what's on screen as opposed to having like a clear, concise idea, which seems kind of chaotic to some, but it's something that I like to really thrive on. And I think it's important to distinguish that too. And you know, it's possible to change. You know, humans change all the time. We all change as artists. We kind of get bored maybe in terms of like doing the same repetitive thing over and over again, or not. I do. So right now I'm just building some random shapes here just to show like what kind of interesting things we can end up doing. It's nothing too complex, but kind of just like reacting to the modifiers I've set up. I'm trying to see what kind of structures I can build here. So let's say maybe like that. So now you can see it's kind of looking interesting, like a bit more blocky from what we had previously. Do that. So let's see what else we can add here to just make it a little bit more interesting. Maybe a cylinder somewhere. What happens if I move it this way? Or if I move the cylinder up? Oh, there it is. Like that. Pipe structures. And it's the pipe structure itself is connecting like this to here. Bigger, so it looks like it inserts into something. this is what we have. Kind of cool, actually. The reason why it's like not completing the circle is we can go here and complete, help it a little, help it along. Okay. What else can we do here with this cool structure? I like going to local view because it cleans everything up for me. Just remember that this is local to whatever the model you have, and make sure to tab back, or else you'll get confused, like I did when I first used it. I thought I lost everything. Okay, so what else can we do here? Let's just maybe, I don't know, I like adding odd shapes. Let's try, I like adding odd shapes. Here's a basic cube. Let's move this down. This, that kind of looks interesting. Maybe bring this up. Cool. What happens if we do like a 45-degree angle somewhere? Kind of reacting to what's happening. Oh, that's kind of neat. See happy accidents like that. Kind of cool. Neat. Let's take a look here. Neat. Rotate it up. Kind of rotate this like that. And let's add anything here. Whole array 3. Okay, so that's that. X4. Okay. Y-axis 2. That's what I was looking for. There we go. Now, just move this around. It looks like some framework of a structure in the ground. Like this, like the shapes here are too even for me. It's kind of boring, but as soon as we like rotate this upwards, there's some like really interesting bend to it. Like very appealing. Everything's like being drawn to the center here. So we can have something like that. And there's other ways to, there's more complex ways to like get this embedded with mesh data and vertexes, but that's a little too complex for now for this video for starting out with the basics. But as you can see here, all we've used is the array modifier, the curve tool, a mirror tool, and really basic shapes. And we're getting cool, complex structures used for like, you know, like a base of something here. And you can go in and add all your materials and lighting, but like the foundational knowledge of just trying to keep it simple and using the modifiers and stacking them in interesting ways. And I encourage everyone to try new ways of stacking the modifiers to get interesting results. So this is really cool. I like using Workbench just to see the shadows a bit more, because this is this kind of style I like to, air quotes, style. I'm very drawn to this like very stark look, like black and white values, easier for me to read. So if we go back here and like move this around, we can probably find more. I'm also drawn by the way the shadows are casted, because most of the time when I'm thinking about art, it's it's less about the structures itself, but like how the light reacts to certain areas and how it makes compelling imagery. Because I could spend all my time trying to design whatever the structure is, but then as soon as you put in some dark lighting, then you know it's kind of void. Like, you know, like, oh, I don't know what the structure is. But if you look here, you can kind of like pick out what it is, and then like the little glints of highlights, you start like letting your imagination run wild in terms of like how complex this thing is. But if we try like, you know, put it in some other view where everything is revealed, then it's kind of like a little bit boring. This is kind of cool this way here, but that's just like some personal design choices I have. Everyone's different. Alright, so we have the structure here. Is there anything else I can think of just to show you? Let's see here. Well, we have the X, Y, Z whole array mirror. There's a nice one called Wireframe. It might add even more complexity and noise, but let's give it a go and see what happens. So let's just choose a different mat cap so it's easier to see this. That's even harder. Shadow. futzing with this too much. There, that's kind of... That's kind of revealing the structure. Okay, so let's hide that. And let's say we want to add a wireframe on it. And then what that's going to do is add even more complexities to it. So let's go here. And it also depends where you stack these, you see. Like if I move this higher up. No, it actually doesn't. Maybe up here? Nope, everything's the same. Here. Aha! Yeah, things change. Depending on where you put it. So you can... Oh, that's kind of... Oh, that's... I like that a lot. You can see how, depending on where you stack them, you get really interesting looks. That's really compelling. There you go. Move the curve modifier. Okay, so let us do a wireframe just to see how exciting this can look. So let's go here. Let's look for wireframe, and please don't crash. As you can see, complexity. But if it brings it all the way up, reduces it slightly. Boundary. We don't want this to replace the original, because we want this to be in conjunction with the original. Relative, maybe that'll work. Oh, one, just to see what that would do. Might blow it up. Ugh, my computer. Offset this to like... I feel like this is a little too complex for this shape, because the complexity of the shape. There we go. You can start seeing some more interesting shapes peering through. What I would end up doing with this is probably reducing the objects and like I'm getting too far ahead. This is for another tutorial. This ways to optimize that. But yeah, here we go. We have some cool looking shape. Thank you.